What's good, everybody? Welcome to another broadcast here for Fast Break for IE Sports Radio. You're the Reformer Sports. D-Locke, a lot of basketball action happening over the week. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. We have a lot of basketball going on. We got some good games going on. We did start off with Orlando and Memphis being Brazil, I believe.
Let me double check that. Go ahead.
Yeah, in different spots. So we got the NBA going on. We in the good part of the season. Obviously, got the LPL but NBA season is live, and we get into good games coming up, especially with the trade deadline.
Yeah, trade deadline's coming up. We'll touch on that with a certain superstar in Ja Morant and his trouble. I want to say troubles, but it's kind of like this boiling tensions with the Memphis Grizzlies. So we'll touch on that. We'll touch up what's up with the Lakers. We gotta talk about them and see what's going on with them. And plus, Rich Paul's comments about trading away Officer Reed just because. So we gotta discuss all that. Break down the game in London between the Magic and Grizz, all that good stuff, and scores around the world of basketball. But this is Fast Break here for IE Sports Radio. Jordan for Always Sports, and we catch you on the side after these messages.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight on our broadcast here. For Fast Break here for IE Sports Radio, you're the Reformer Sports. Hope y'all doing well and staying warm wherever you're at. I know it's cold up where you at in Pittsburgh, D-Locke.
Oh, yeah.
Is it snowing up there? Because the snow been showing. I got the Chicago game in front of me, and the snow's coming down pretty good right now.
I mean, had some flurries earlier today, but recently it hasn't been snowing too much. It's probably gonna. I think looking at the weather app, it's gonna snow probably on Wednesday. But I know probably like last 2 weeks ago it was snowing like literally 3 straight days. So much snow you couldn't tell the grass from the street. So and I do they come and plow the streets. You know what I mean? But we've had a few snowstorms here, but it is pretty chilly. But I'm used to it now a little bit. I ain't gonna lie.
So hopefully you staying warm. Where everybody else is staying warm where you live at. But one thing about basketball is played indoors for the most part.
Yeah. Yep.
And across the pond, D-Locke, you got the Memphis Grizzlies today defeating your Orlando Magic 126-109. Ja Morant, 24 points in his return. Paolo Banchero, 16 points to lead to chip in for the Orlando Magic. D-Locke, your opinions about this game over across the pond?
Well, I think this is Banchero's second game back. I'm sorry, not Banchero. Franz Wagner's second game back. So you got a chance to get him, a little bit involved. But this is the impact that Ja Morant makes on the team. He's literally, I think, one of the most elusive, explosive players in the league. We have so much. We talk so much highly of this guy. If he can stay out of trouble and stay on the court, he can make a huge impact for the Memphis Grizzlies. And we see that. You know what I mean? Most of the season so far, Jaren Jackson's been leading this group. So now you bring back Ja Morant. He comes in and he gives that spark, which is huge for Memphis. So now, them trading him, we'll see what happens with that. I did see, I think, what Cody said about he's a very loyal guy, and they asked him if he wanted to leave or where he wanted to play at. He said he has Memphis tattooed on his back, so that should give him a sign of where he wants to be. So we'll see what that plays out. As far as my Orlando Magic, a little bit of struggle with shooting today for Banchero. He's the guy that leads his team as well. You got Desmond Bane, all these other guys. Todd Jones, Desmond Bane getting a chance to go against their former team. Desmond Bane didn't shoot that well today either. The actual person that had probably the best game out of all of them is Wendell Carter. So, we know historically bigs do play pretty well against Memphis. But now that's very, very much happening because now you have Ja Morant giving guards issues. You know what I mean? So, but I think that Memphis could be one of those teams that is considered a playoff team. They just got to get things in order. But the Magic, we got to have a better shooting game. I mean, looking at Franz Wagner 5 for 13, Banchero 7 for 20, Desmond Bane 4 for 12. So that's not good. Those percentages look pretty low. So we can straighten that up. I think they'll be fine. But you are going against a team I think is pretty solid in the West, especially if they bring a start back.
I think for me, Ja Morant coming back having a strong game over in London, different environment. The London crowd, you don't play from very often, so it's very good to kind of, get overseas, get different vibes around different people, different culture, all that good stuff. And I think sometimes that's good for some of these guys to kind of get away from your situations,
right?
In America, and this vibe and play ball, different area, all that stuff. So I think for him, I believe he had 24 point, 13 assists, in this matchup. Like you mentioned about the comment, he said he's a very low guy and that his Grizzlies tattoos should tell everybody that he wants to be here.
Correct.
So, I think should be great for the league in Memphis. His personality, style play kind of meshes well with that city. there's been rumors, stuff like that various teams have shown interest in him. What that trade value actually is kind of hard. It's kind of hard to gauge. It's like, do you trade a whole bunch of young guys in a draft pick for him, or do you trade like some offloading contracts to get rid of him? It's really hard to gauge what his real trade value is around the league.
Right.
So having said that, he has a strong game. Let me look at the box score real quick. Jaren Jackson, 17 points for him, 5 rebounds. If anything, I'll be trying. If you got to move Ja, you got to move Ja. But if I'm Memphis, I'm moving somebody. I'm moving Jaren Jackson. Just because there's my thing. Just because the dude 6 foot can move and run the floor, but he can't rebound. His rebounding is dog crap in today's NBA. You talking about a dude that should be a 12 rebound a night type of dude, and this is what he's giving you.
Yeah.
I mean, he's having 5.5 rebounds thus far this year. Can handle the ball a little bit, averaging about 2 assists a game. You're not scaring nobody with that.
Nah, definitely not.
And you got Zach Edey out right now. Brandon Clark just been on the shelf for a good year and a half. So you got those 2 guys out, and you can't get over 7 rebounds a game for me. Like you can't get that for me.
Yeah.
So if you're Memphis, I'm looking, if Ja wants to stay, you can work it out, keep him. But Jaren Jackson is the guy I'm trying to move. And no, I'm not going based off what Rich Paul said, which we'll talk about later on. But like, if I'm Memphis, I'm trying to sell high on Jaren Jackson, maybe for a Bam Adebayo. His performance ain't been up to snuff, and maybe you could do switcheroo there. But I'm saying, man, it's just like Memphis is what in the West right now. Pulling up right now. They're 10th in the West, behind Portland and Golden State. You got Phoenix at 7 and the Lakers at 6. So they tie with the Clippers also. So Memphis in the crossroads. Like, do y'all want to stay? Like, trying to elevate, do something? Are you trying to stay in the playing round? Or do you want to blow it all up and kind of restart everything? So that's where Memphis is at right now. Great win tonight. Today, over across the pond against a quality Orlando Magic team.
Mm-hmm.
But let me pull it up. What we got? But they come back to the stateside, play Atlanta Wednesday. You got a new look Atlanta team. And then you got the Pelicans on Friday on the 23rd, and Sunday against the Jokic-less Nuggets. 3 winnable games. And I think those 3 games right there before the trade deadline will tell us where Memphis will be at, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think, your point of saying move on from Jaren Jackson makes a lot more sense, actually. than moving on from Ja Morant. I mean, like you said, look what he's giving you, and then look at who you have on that team right now. Aldama is playing pretty well when he can. They have the depth in the bigs position, to be honest. That's the thing that I'm looking at compared to moving Ja Morant. Because you got Jalen Wells and Cedric Cowell, but looking at Jack Landale and Santi Aldama and Gigi Jackson down there, along with Brandon Clark eventually at some point. So maybe you could move around from Jaren Jackson and go get you another big. But again, what he's doing is not helping them want to keep him, right? In your case, like you said, he's not giving you 2 assists a game is not helping. You can't get over double digits rebounds. What are we doing with you at that power forward or center position? Because when you get in the playoffs, eventually you're going to have the running teams that have the bigs like OKC or San Antonio, who got the guys that those second chance points are going to matter. If you can't get them, then what are we looking at? So I think that's something they got to really think really hard on it and consider if they're really saying, okay, well, hey, let's go ahead and move some pieces around. I know Ja Morant has a lot of things going on, but I think that moving on from somebody who is just getting cardio in, as I say, that's probably the smarter move. Put the right pieces around Ja Morant, I think would help. But having somebody who's up for defensive player of the year at some point, who's playing extremely well over his career, now it's just like, looking at, he's very inconsistent right now, and Jaren Jackson is. So I know, like I said, you got to figure out what it is with Ja Morant. Clearly, I think he's your superstar of this team, the face of this team for years, if done correctly. So maybe you pair him up with, a guy or two, and move on for what you do have now, because the West is only going to get, even tougher, right? So it's something they got to really think about. I know, like I said, the noise talk of Ja Morant, possibly maybe they consider looking at other options of other athletes to move.
Let me ask you this before we kind of stay around the trade deadline, all that stuff. Trade. We'll talk about a little bit of that. Does Ja Morant get moved in your opinion?
When they moved on from Desmond Bane and Tyus Jones, I wouldn't think they would. But at this point, I'm kind of on a level of it's a huge possibility, especially if they're having talks and they're listening. All it takes is for the best package at this point. And teams are gonna come calling. So who can send the best package? What are they looking for? Who can they get in to replace Ja Morant? If they're already listening to offers, somebody's gonna make that deal make that offer where you can't refuse. So in my opinion, again, I think it would be wise for them to move somebody else first. But since they're already listening to offers, I kind of can see it happening sooner rather than later.
I keep it short and sweet. I think he stays. But next season, we'll see how things go.
Yeah.
Because I think if Memphis were like in a worse record, then I think they'd probably move him. But right now, they kind of finding themselves a little bit. I think he stays for right now, and 2 weeks away and stuff like that, 2-3 weeks away. So, things may change, but we'll see how things shake out. But kind of staying with the trade news and stuff like that, our good friend Jonathan Kamiga, the latest update. Kuminga officially requested a trade after becoming trade eligible on January 15th. Steve Kerr confirmed, Kuminga actually, let me pull this right here. Kuminga has been dealing with tendonitis injury after already missing 5 games early in the 25-26 season. Steve Kerr has said, put this quote up right here. Steve Kerr has said, confirming that he's down for the season, but not ready to return yet. So,
interesting.
Put this little nugget here as well, because I think this is very key to everything what's going on with Kuminga. Kuminga has not played since December 18th, missing 13 straight games due to injury and then coach's decision. D-Locke, we had talked on this show. If you're new to the show here, in podcast form and video form, we talked about the 2 timeline deal in Golden State where they had the perfect opportunity of kind of going with the current, also building towards the future.
Right.
On one hand, you had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond on this side right here. And then on the other side, years ago, you drafted Jonathan Wiseman, Moses Moody, and Jonathan Kuminga. And you will hope that these 3 in the year 2026 will be your future for your franchise, that you won't skip a beat once these 3 go away.
Transition, yeah.
But now you look in the year 2026 on January the 18th, Klay Thompson's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Draymond's still around. Curry's still around. On the other side of things, Jonathan Wiseman's gone. A lot of it due to injury. Moses Moody's still there, and Kuminga's still there.
Yep.
But D-Locke, the 2 guys, Kuminga and Moody, they seem like they're in and out the lineup. They don't get consistent time, despite being lottery picks and all that good stuff. Kuminga, we talk about in the summer, is like, why, if y'all don't want him, let him go. Steve Kerr, well, mainly Steve Kerr. If you don't want him, let him go. Let him go to Sacramento. Let him go to Phoenix. If you want to do trade the Lakers, do something with the Lakers. Bulls, they had their name in him. But they didn't want to go, and they finally made a deal to make him stay there. So I ask you this. After all the hoopla during the summer and stuff like that, of not letting him go, and then how we transition to this part right here, who's at fault with the whole Jonathan Kuminga situation?
I would say front office. Right now, in a mixture of Steve Kerr. Clear at this point, they're holding on to him for some reason. Obviously, like you said, they had their 3 that they wanted to build with. Moving on from Steph, Klay, and Draymond. One is gone. To Dallas. We see how that's kind of playing out. He's playing, but he's really out of it now. You can see he's probably going to hang it up pretty much soon. He's on the bench a lot of the time, unless a lot of people are hurt from the Mavericks. Draymond can't stop getting ejected at this point. And Steph is being Steph. Now, I think what delayed or has pushed back the progression and the transition to Kuminga getting more minutes, Moody getting more minutes. 2 things. One, Steph is still Steph. he's still playing at a high level. Eventually we know we're gonna see it kind of smoothly drop off, but it's not happening right now. He's playing, pretty well right now. And two, the trade for Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
I think, that time before the trade for Jimmy Butler, this team looked like they were starting to get it. There was talks about them moving all these other pieces, leaving Steph there, and kind of getting that rebuild mode. Now we were starting to see Kuminga kind of getting those minutes. Then they go trade for Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler brings that energy, that expectation that they have, and now this team is looking better, than expected, or they were before. So now that transition of we're rebuilding, that has been pushed back. Because not only they go get Jimmy Butler, then they go get Al Horford. So now they're trying to go make a push, for another title, right? And of course we know who leads the charge is Steph Curry. Look at them right now; they're 8th in the West, right? Teams above them are pretty much competitive: Suns, Lakers, Rockets, Timberwolves, Nuggets, Spurs, and Thunder. But they're one of these teams that can, I think this is one of the teams that these teams don't want to see in a Game 7 series. They could put things together, then, like I said, this team would be hard to beat. But going to get Jimmy Butler has helped that. Going to get Al Horford, has helped that. Brandon Podziemski, if I could say his name, Podziemski, he's been playing pretty well. He's came out and did well and stole some of those minutes. Moses Moody, who's getting in, he's just in that guard rotation with those guys. So to me, I definitely put this on front office and Steve Kerr, but also is the fact that it starts with what Steph's doing. Steph is showing you that he's still consistent, that this team can still be competitive in the throughout the season and through the playoffs. So for me, now, like I said, you probably have Moses Moody who's starting a lot of games now, but in rotation with Brandon Podziemski and Gary Payton. You know what I mean? Will Richard is starting to get in. So in that guard position, you have those and Steph getting in, but Kuminga is somebody that's not even being looked at right now. So to me, I think it's still the fact of, hey, we see Steph is still playing extremely well. We still might have a shot at this. And because of that, we don't want to make that true transition of rebuilding, right? So maybe this is somebody that we don't see for some time. Maybe we don't see Kuminga for some time. And that's my biggest thing is, again, you're not moving them for a reason. I'm pretty sure you got some package deals. You've probably heard some teams call had interest because of what he can do, but what they could see him doing in the future. But again, they're still wanting to build around this guy. And now it's kind of seeming like, okay, they're slowly having Brandon Podziemski come in, starting to lead things when Steph's gone. When Steph does retire, when he does hang it up, now they're still trying to build with somebody like Kuminga. And that's my thought to it is thinking that, hey, he still could be our future, but they feel like their future isn't right now. They're still thinking they have a great chance, shot at the title, which I applaud them for when you have a possible top 10 ever basketball player on your team, is Steph Curry, who's playing extremely well right now. So you have that. You add somebody with the mentality of Jimmy Butler, then you go get you a champ in Al Horford. Now you're like, okay, we do have a chance. Let's kind of hold off on this rebuild. And that's kind of how they seem like they're kind of going about it.
That last play Saturday against the Hornets, who was playing pretty well, especially with LaMelo Ball come off the bench. But they won 136-116. Draymond actually led the way. Helped lead the way. 20 points for him. D'Anthony Melton, 24 points for him off the bench. Steph only had like 14 points in 29 minutes. Booty had to start for 12 points. Buddy Hield, who's kind of been cold on the bench. He came in and has 14 points in 17 minutes worth of action. On for the corner side of things, 28 points for Brandon Miller, who's finally kind of coming his own again. This guy stayed on the damn court. Colin Knappel, 24 points for him, 11 rebounds for Knappel as well. Sexton, 17 off the bench, and LaMelo Ball, 15 off the bench as well. So for me, just kind of looking at things right here, like if Moody was healthy, I mean, this is like a good game for him to get in and play and possibly start. All that good stuff. So, for me, it sucks that you went all this trouble through the summer. I don't think you really tried to do a trade with him for him, and you kept him around. And now he's always been like a Steve Kerr's doghouse. We saw this last season.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kuminga was playing very well at a good stretch. And then, hey, Steve, what's going on? Well, Kuminga didn't do right in practice, so he's going to sit a few games.
Yeah. Makes you wonder.
Like, what are we doing here? So, for me, for this team and whatnot, it's like, the front office and the coach staff got to talk. Like, hey, what's the plan here?
What we got going on, yeah.
The front office seems like they love Kuminga. Steve Kerr seems like he don't. Something's got to give.
Yep.
And I know Kuminga's not like the end-all be-all for a job. And shout out to Marcus Looks Great in the chat. And that's a good point. The lack of defined roles is killing Golden State. Like, besides Steph, put Steph to the side.
Yep.
Look where everybody else is at on the roster. At one point, when Steve Kerr took over for Mark Jackson, you had a good defined role for everybody. That's what Mark Jackson had set up. And Steve Kerr kind of just really amplified it.
Right.
Now we kind of get in the weeds of everything like that. Like the lineup he started with the Saturday. Quentin Post, okay, big man. But Draymond, Steph, Moody, Will Riker. And after that, Horford, he played 18 minutes, but very guard heavy. Gary Payton. I mean, he can't play small forward, but he's 6'4". Buddy Hield, 6'4", 6'5". Brandon Podziemski, 6'3", 6'4". DeAnthony Melton, who's 6'1", 6'2". So you break it down, I mean, that works well for a very high level high school or college. In the NBA, I mean, you can get away with that for so much. And yeah, you can get away with that against the Hornets. All that good stuff. But, what happens if you get matched up with Minnesota?
Yeah, exactly.
Denver, when Jokers get back healthy and stuff like that. And Eric Gordon finally coming back from injury, all that stuff. San Antonio, their depth, along with the OKC Thunder in their depth. So, Kuminga could be a great piece for this team, but you gotta make a move. To where, I don't know. Miami has shown interest. We'll see how that will work out. Maybe you can make a deal with Andrew Wiggins and get that done. Just kind of do like a player swap. I don't know exact terms of salaries for each guy, but you gotta make it out with their Kuminga going to Miami for Andrew Wiggins and somebody else, or Kuminga and maybe somebody like Buddy Hield or something like that to kind of make the salaries work. That can work. I don't know, but I guess what's the word I'll go? Sad. It's sad to me. This my opinion. It's sad to me that this could have been worked out better
a while back too. I mean, this is not something that is new. We've been talking about this for a while. This could have been moved. But again, like I said to you, what is the reason? There has to be a valid reason behind this. I mean, you have multiple chances to move him. Teams are calling for this guy. And rightfully so. I mean, he gets on the court and he shows you what he can do. He's only 23 years old. Only 23. So the projection of his career, what he can do, maybe Golden State sees that. I mean, this is the thing. As much as we see the games, the coaches in the front office see in practice literally every day. They see stuff that we don't see.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times when we see players that are out or to be determined or whatever, they're probably practicing the majority of the time. They're just not ready for full competition. So a lot of times whether injury or not, or we don't see some of these guys play, they see the potential that some of these players have that are not on the court. So it's to the point of, dang, like, I could move this person, but this is what I'm giving up. This guy's, looking amazed right now going against the first team. He's just not ready to be put in yet, or we ain't put him in yet. And this is what we're going to give away for who? We know we have with Kuminga right now. Whoever you trade for, you don't know. Unless it's somebody like a Wiggins who's already been there. But, I mean, that's what I said, but it got to be something that we as fans and the outside community don't know or don't see. Because like you said, you have a coach that is not too fond of him, but the front office is like, oh, no, we can't, we see something a little different. And usually that's how it boils down, A lot of times the front office is the one that makes that final say. Or maybe they're having, like I said, discussions. They finally made a decision on keeping them. But again, I would love to be part of these, like a fly on the wall of these practices or, these meetings to see, or even in the locker room with these guys, how are some of these athletes, these players, other than being on a basketball court, at a game, when practices do go, we watched, Michael Jordan's documentary, a lot of stuff, even Magic Johnson saying how it went at the Olympics, that practice went kind of crazy between his team and Michael Jordan's team. So, that kind of stuff probably plays a huge part of some of these decisions made. So, you're looking at somebody right now, Kuminga's probably sitting on it, and they see that potential at practice probably every day. And they're like, man, we can't get this dude away. We got to get a hell of a trade to move this guy. And then depending on his money situation, the contract may sit perfect for their salary situation. So it's a lot that play into it. It's just something they'll probably keep it in house.
I sent you something through text, and I saw while I was trying to kind of quote the show and stuff on X. But for those that see this is Mitchell Robinson. Somebody screenshot this on his Instagram. The Knicks have been kind of struggling. He's saying farewell. Now, that could mean a lot of things. These athletes, they post cryptic stuff all the time, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. So we don't know what that means. But since we're on this topic of Kuminga and stuff like that, would a trade to the New York Knicks look good? Like, let's look at it. Kuminga, young forward, not very heavy in the books. Mitchell Robinson, I think he's in the last year of his deal in New York. The Knicks are being rumored to make a shakeup somewhere. If you were the Knicks and you got this young forward here, Mitchell Robinson, right, has played nice for you, but sometimes he has not been valuable for you like that. Would you make a move like this and kind of help out both sides? Help out the Warriors with size and defense. And for the Knicks, you get a nice young for basically rental for the rest of the year. If you one of those two front offices, especially if you're the Knicks, would you dangle Mitchell Robinson for Jonathan Kuminga?
I go both sides, right? Okay. Let's say if I was a Knicks, it would be considered. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is playing extremely well, so I could consider moving Mitchell Robinson. But I think the depth at the center position could hurt. Now that means that you're going to ask Garbashan Yabusele to play more at the 5, which I don't mind that. It's just where does Kuminga fit in this rotation? I think Josh Hurt is hurt right now, but he'll be back. Brunson, they're loaded at the guard position. I could see a different rotation with OG Anunoby and Kuminga on the floor together. I think you can get more out of Kuminga than you're getting out of Mitchell Robinson. The only thing that would bother me with this is the health of Karl-Anthony Towns. Now you're going to probably require a little bit more from him. I mean, they're playing a good amount of minutes right now. We talked about them having the difference how they look now and last year as far as managing the minutes. But I think if you move Mitchell Robinson, you're probably going to ask a little bit more from Karl-Anthony Towns, especially at the 5 position. So I wouldn't mind it, but Garbashan Yabusele and Karl-Anthony Towns have to share those big minutes. Then we start to see Kuminga come in, like you said, rental of the year at the 5. If I was the Warriors, without question, I'm looking into this deal. Another reason why, I think one of the main reasons why is because the lack of the center position that the Warriors have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Al Horford is solid, but he's a lot older. He's not going to give you 30 plus minutes a game. He's not doing it. Quentin Post, not too much of. I think right now I'm not too sold on him being that physical guy down there for them. Draymond is going to bring a lot. So if you compare somebody like a Mitchell Robinson down there with Draymond, oh yeah, now you got. It's hard to go down and down the court between the lanes with them. Both of those guys down. I would definitely like that. Another reason is because you're not doing anything with Kuminga right now anyway. Right? You're gonna Mitchell Robinson is gonna get a hell of a lot more minutes than what Kuminga is doing for you. You're set at the guard and forward position. We see multiple different rotations where Steph is on the court by himself, without Jimmy Butler. Then they bring Steph out and Jimmy Butler's out there running the offense, playing the quarterback position for them, playing the point guard position for them. You bring in the big with Jimmy Butler like Mitchell Robinson. I think that's a great pair. And now you kind of can minimize or maintain the minutes that you're giving Al Horford. You're not asking for him to do too much, at least not now. You kind of you want to keep those minutes for the playoffs time, and that's what it seems like they're doing, right? Like I said, this Warriors team went and made a move for Jimmy Butler and Al Horford. They're trying to win now. You get that team, you get that group, and you add on another big, which is where their weakness is right now. They're gonna need that because again, the West is loaded. OKC has Victor. San Antonio has Victor, Luke Cornett. They have some bigs. OKC has Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein. Timberwolves, Gobert, and they have Naj Reid, Julius Randle. These teams on the West are loaded at the big man position, right? The Lakers made a big move by getting DeAndre Ayton. So with these teams on the West that have these bigs, I think that's something that could hurt the Warriors. I don't think Quentin Post and Al Horford are going to be the guys that can match up with these teams on the West. So to me, maybe you do look at that. You know what I mean? You're looking at the fact that you get somebody who from New York who was, in a sense, sharing a lot of minutes with Karl Anthony Towns, but when he gets a chance to play, I think he's a phenomenal defensive player. And that's what the Warriors need. They got the scores. They're good with that part. They want to make sure that defense can hold it. And we know who the leader of that defense is Draymond. So if you compare him with the Mitchell Robinson, I think that'd be a great put together for this team, knowing they got Jimmy Butler too. Now I think you're looking at one of the better defending teams on the West, which is what you're going to need. Because again, you're going to run into OKC, who has this loaded roster and repeated champs of having those two bigs. And then again, we talked about Victor. You're going to have somebody down there to deal with Victor. I don't think Quentin Post can do that. And Al Horford is not going to go up and down the court with Victor. And as tough as Draymond is, I know we've seen how that kind of played out. They played a few times. Victor's Victor. So you're going to have some guys that can, you're going to have some guys that kind of can match up with those bigs. And I don't think Quentin Post is there just yet. I think, you're going to get a vet like a Mitchell Robinson. I think that'll definitely add on to this Warriors team and even boost their chances of getting pretty far in the playoffs.
I looked at the salaries for both guys. Kuminga is earning $22 million this year, and Mitchell Robinson is like close to 13. So you on the New York side of things, you probably had to do something. Let me look at the New York numbers real quick. Let me look up the New York numbers real quick. Real fast. Let's see. Thing about it, it's so top heavy with everybody. It's just, I mean, you can potentially package Miles McBride in there.
Ooh.
But do you want to give that up?
Yeah, I look at either Shamet or Clarkson.
Well, Shamet, he's at $3 million.
Okay.
So Mitchell's like 13, so that's 16 right there. You gotta find $6 million worth of salary somewhere. So, and Golden State got enough guards as it is.
Yeah, they loaded already. Unless you pair, like I said, you put a third team up in there.
That could work. But well, 13 would help one of these two teams out.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we're just throwing it out there, ladies and gentlemen. Just throwing out there, just throwing ideas out there. I did look up Andrew Wiggins' contract. Very close. So they right there.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good possibility right there. If you're gonna do a move, if you're going to stay, making that move. But D-Lock, we'll put a pause right there real quick because we got to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers and what's up with them. You know, Rich Paul made some comments about Austin, like trading Austin Reeves away for Jaren Jackson, all that good stuff. And Rich Paul having a podcast is problematic, but we'll talk about that here in a bit. The Lakers were seem very hot right now, but kind of cold at the moment. So we'll discuss them after we come back after this break. But this is Fast Break here, live for Sports Radio, your for sports. We'll catch you on the other side.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the show broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is Fast Break here for Sports Radio, your three for sports. If you're new to the network, do follow us on all your social media feeds: X, Instagram, Facebook. We had a little meeting last night, Facebook, and that's kind of up in the air. But we'll see. TikTok, YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification button, the little bell. Once we go live every Sunday at 7 o'clock or a little after 7, you get the notification. Hop in, join the chat, talk with us, fellowship, and give us your opinions, all that good stuff. But like I said, do follow How You Supposed Ready, all your social media feeds right there. Instagram, X, X is kind of shit now. TikTok, YouTube, all that good stuff. D-Lock left a little cliffhanger. We got to talk about them. What's up with the Lakers? As we're talking, I see news that, okay, hold on. Mark Stein says, before we talk about the Lakers, about Ja Morant, that he said they should be scratched as a Ja Morant suitor if the trade would jeopardize the Heat's chances of trading for Milwaukee's Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I think that it seems like the Heat got their eyes on Giannis, and Ja is the consolation prize.
Right.
And Milwaukee, as we speak right now, they are currently where we're at.
They're looking too good right now.
Milwaukee is 11th in the East right now, with Charlotte right behind them, Brooklyn, Washington, and Indiana, who, when we talk about the end of the year awards and stuff like that, they're my short list of disappointing teams of the year.
Yes.
And let's face it, fans, I don't care. I know Miles Turner is gone. I know Tyrese Haliburton's hurt. Still, I got too much talent, too much coaching on that sideline to be this ass.
Mm-hmm.
Just my opinion. But Milwaukee, 17-24 thus far. Guys like Kevin Porter is coming around really nice. Green, Rollins, who's been playing pretty well, has kind of cooled off here the past couple games. All that good stuff. The last game against the Spurs, they lost 119-101, 21 points for Giannis. Kuzma off the bench for 18 as well. And Victor doing Victor games 22-10, 21 minutes worth of action in that win as well. So something to monitor, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll see how the Bucks situation plays out. And they don't get Giannis this cycle. Look for them to do something this summer. We'll see. But back here, what's up with the Lakers? Luka didn't play last night. Now, I got the notification that LeBron and Luka will play tonight against the Raptors, who are one of the surprises in the NBA thus far this year, sitting at fourth in the East. LeBron and Luka will be back tonight against the Raptors. But D-Locke, in your opinion, the Lakers started off very strong.
Right.
And this is without LeBron. And then since LeBron's been back, it's been, for the most part, Luka has missed some games. Austin Reeves has missed some games. In your opinion, what's up with the Lakers right now?
Well, I'm looking at their okay, so let's go back to December 20th against the Clippers until now. Clippers lost, Phoenix lost, Houston lost. Now this is back-to-back. Sacramento win, Detroit lost, Memphis win, New Orleans win, Spurs lost, Milwaukee lost, Sacramento lost, Hawks win, Charlotte lost, Portland lost. This team is inconsistent right now. One of the main phrases that I think is a great phrase I've said before is the best ability is availability. Injuries are hurting the Lakers. They are. I mean, I'm sure all the fans out there seeing what LeBron said about him being to be determined on back-to-backs, right? He's 41 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen LeBron play great in multiple different uniforms. In my opinion, I think the old LeBron is gone. I think the LeBron that we've seen, in Cleveland both times, the one we've seen in Miami, hell, the one we've seen first couple of years with the Lakers, that LeBron is gone. Now, is this a off the cliff, like he's a totally different? No. But to have expectations of him doing what he did when he first got to Los Angeles, I think that's not a good thing for Laker fans. So, yes, he's back. Yes. But he's 41, and the expectation should be as high. And that's just a LeBron thing. LeBron James, just explaining LeBron. We knew what it was with Luka. Also, you got to make sure he stays healthy. That's the biggest thing with him. So right now, the availability is what's killing the Lakers. I believe DeAndre Ayton missed last game as well. I think he's starting tonight, however. So to me, it's injuries, man. Like, I think this Lakers team can be very good, but this is where your bench has to come in and play extremely well. You went and got Marcus Smart, got Gabe Vincent a couple years ago, Jake LaRavia, who had a terrible game last game. You got Hachimura. These guys got to come in and play when you are missing a Luka or a LeBron or Austin Reeves. These three are too dependent on. Dalton Connect, we haven't heard too much from him in a while, right? These guys got to come in and we got to see something else on this bench. And this is where we can see a team that can possibly make a move for somebody for the trade because they need somebody to help in that rotation. Now, who do they move? That's a great question. But outside of the game that Marcus Smart recently just had, I think that this team has not been he has not been playing pretty well in LA. Hasn't seen too much from Marcus Smart. So for me, your guys, Austin Reeves, Luka, yes, those are your guys on the team. Those are your top options with the LeBron. But these other guys got to get involved too. They got to be consistent. We haven't seen too much from Hachimura. We haven't seen much from Jake LaRavia. We haven't seen much from Marcus Smart. Gabe Vincent disappeared. Right?
Well, somebody in the chat is disagreeing right now. Aaron is saying no, the Lakers need better culture / coaching and better depth. I think that's what we're discussing right now.
Yep.
Also, he's saying can't play 4 versus 5. Bron shouldn't be playing these minutes because he don't play defense. And then also blaming the bench is diabolical.
Right.
Now, I'll say this about the bench. A lot of these dudes have opportunity to to seize the moment, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
To me, JJ Redick, and I said this last year back in the trade deadline when Dalton Connect got traded to the Hornets, but but they got revoked. I said on Twitter on our show's page that maybe Dalton Connect can probably flourish better out of JJ's control because it's like a love-hate thing. Like his Dalton Connect was like his whipping boy in a sense, because how he yells at him, all that stuff. Seems like a coach has that in wherever roster he has, high school, college, pros. They got that one dude that kind of just grinds their gears for whatever reason. And Dalton Connect is that for JJ Redick. And being a mixed bag in which Connect should be a quote unquote 3-and-D player for this franchise. And then you mentioned Gabe Vincent. That's like going to my parents' house out in their field on all the land they own. This pile my dad burns every once in a blue moon. Getting some money, throwing in that burn pile, and just watch it burn.
Mm-hmm.
That's Gabe Vincent. Because he has not brought an ounce.
Nope.
An ounce of anything positive with this franchise. Just look at the stat line against the Blazers. Marcus Smart, 25 points. Okay, not bad. LeBron, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. Okay, not bad. Then Maxi Kleber, 11 points, 5 rebounds. Okay, you ain't expecting the world from him. Gabe Vincent, 3 points in 22 minutes. Jake LaRavia, 2 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in 28 minutes. Go to the bench. Drew Timme had 29 minutes and 21 points in 29 minutes. And I like Drew Timme. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Had a great career in Gonzaga. You know, Avery Johnson almost had him in Alabama, but he had a great career in Gonzaga. And we'll see tonight if he gets big minutes against the Raptors. But, you know, I'm not expecting a lot from Drew Timme right now. Kobe Buffington, who they just signed just a couple days ago, 9 points for him off the bench in 22 minutes. A guy you just signed a couple days ago. Rui off the bench, 19 minutes, 11 points. Vanderbilt, 17 points, 6 points, excuse me. Nick Smith, 9 minutes, 5 points. Bronny had 7 minutes, and Dalton Connett, 4 minutes, 3 points. No Ayton in the game. You know, Luka didn't play. Of course, Jackson Hayes didn't play. Reeves is out. So, this roster makeup is not good.
Right.
The names I just spit it out to everybody there. That group is not scaring nobody. You know what I'm saying? No young guys that don't scare you. The vets, you know, Rui and Jarrett, they are who they are by now. Just role players. And maybe a specialist. Bronny, I said my piece about Bronny. He should be at USC right now.
Correct.
Playing for Eric Musselman.
Yeah.
Sorry, if this gets clipped, it is what it is. You should be in USC right now, playing Big Ten basketball. That's my opinion. And then Nick Smith, Dalton Connect. It's like every once in a blue moon, Nick Smith have a good game. Then the Lakers playing more. Then he just
drops down.
Dalton Connect, like I said, JJ's whipping boy. It goes either way. But all the names I named out, no big man depth at all. Like, no big man depth. And one thing, if y'all notice, if y'all kept up with the Lakers, ladies and gentlemen, they have, like, found big men in training camp and stuff like that. And then you see them look up, they're playing elsewhere. They're playing in Memphis. They're playing other spots and contributing very well. So I'll let you have word back. It's like, I don't know what's up with the Lakers right now.
I mean, again, you got your big three. Cool. You've seen multiple teams win with their big three. Heat, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, D Wade. The Lakers with their big three with LeBron and Anthony Davis. Hell, the Cavs with their big three. So you got your three guys, you know. But I think for one, you know, LeBron is a hell of a lot older. That's just what that is, you know. And your three guys got to play extremely well. But when you have games where they're not available, your other players have to step up. They got to win some of these games that you don't. You know what I'm saying? Your big names aren't there. That's just, this is a long season, right? These games, some of these games. I mean, you look at some of these games that they lost. I mean, I don't think they should have lost to Charlotte, especially with Houston. Right? Sacramento's tough, but Sacramento gives up the most. They don't play no defense over there. Right? Some of these, Detroit is a tough matchup. Okay, cool. The Clippers have been up and down. But some of these losses are losses that they should be able to handle.
And with these other guys in, there's no way Laravia plays the whole game and only has 2 points. So this is a team that needs to make some kind of move by the trade deadline. You got to go get you some more depth. I mean, that's just straight cut and dry. The guys that you have, especially with the Lakers, who have the expectations of winning a title every year, this is the goal. You have to make some moves outside of your 3 guys. You got to bring some more up in there. You talked about Jaren Jackson. Do they try to look into that? You talk about all these other moves. Do they look into it? Because right now, it's not working. Max Kleber is not defending any big man. That he's not doing anything against OKC or San Antonio or Minnesota. He's not doing it. So you got to get some guys in there, to play a bigger role. You got some guys that may give you a game every now and then. But when it comes to the playoffs, as we know, playoffs come around, that rotation shortens, right? We're not going to see as many guys getting in the game. So now you got to figure out during the season, especially this part of the season, who's going to be in that playoff rotation. You got to figure out who those guys are going to be. And I'm looking at it right now. I mean, okay, you got your 3, but, I mean, you can't rely on Kobe Buffkin. Can't rely on Dalton Connect right now. Jared Vanderbilt is probably one of them you possibly could rely on, but he's not playing the 5.
Too small.
Way too small. Jackson Hayes, we haven't seen much from him. And to be honest, I'm at a point now where I think he's a better forward in the 5 too. You don't see much from him at the 5. So you got to figure out who your guy, who's going to do what for you, who's going to come in and have this team be consistently playing well. Because again, you got your 3, but you need some other guys to get in and play a role. Right now, looking at them, they're ranked 6, and they got to keep moving up the charts with that. But again, Rockets, Sengun, Steven Adams, Clint Capella, Jabari Smith. You talked about this team earlier as one of the teams that's going to be very tough in the West. That's the Rockets. Timberwolves, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, Naj Reid, Nuggets, Joker, Joe Val, Spurs, their whole roster, right? Full of guards as well. Thunder, and we know what they have. Right now, the Lakers, they're about, I would say probably 6 guys deep. 6 or 7. You gotta add some more up in there, man, because right now, the season starts during the playoffs, especially during that 7-game series. And that's what, like I said, the Lakers they're gonna be fine, consistently, but when they go against these teams that have that rotation where it's just Luka and he got all these other guys in and LeBron's taking a break or vice versa. But we got to keep going on this run. You can't ease back from this. You gotta keep it moving. And I think that's what's hurting them in some of these games is they cannot continue to keep this run going. So we'll see if they can get involved in looking for possibly a trading somebody. But I think that's what's hurting them. Being available is huge. It's just depending on those 3 so much is what's hurting them because these other guys are not stepping up.
I'll leave you like this. There was that clip when they played the Pelicans not too long ago. And speaking about Steven Adams in Houston, he got hurt. Tonight's matchup against the Pelicans, a lower leg injury. So
yeah, seen that.
So Clint Capella is going to probably show his worth again because he's been getting some DMPs for the Rockets here lately. So it's probably a good thing they signed all these bigs, but it was kind of weird for Houston for a while that you made all these moves at the big man size, all stuff, and then you're not playing all these big men and stuff like that. Like you can't keeping Capella on ice and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
All that good stuff. It's like don't make no sense there. But he's out. It seems like C-Downs might be out for a while, so Capella might be get to show his worth again. But for me, I go back to that clip when the Lakers in New Orleans and on their rebound, Ayton didn't try no effort for the rebound. And for some of y'all don't know, y'all watching all the viewers and stuff like that, watching. I coach basketball, coach younger kids, stuff like that. I always tell these kids on free throws, box out your man, and whoever box out the shooter. As a big man on the lower block, you gotta box out those big guys. And when you watch that Pelicans clip, Ayton did not do that. And they got the offensive rebound, and New Orleans got a foul out of it. And then next you know, Jackson Hayes is back in the game. Came in for Ayton. That's what the Lakers been doing with effort, stuff like that. You know, we talk about when Ayton signed, like this is like the golden chance for him with the Lakers and that brand and stuff like that to kind of come alive and be that dude to potentially play well with Luka or down the line. They both around the same age. They both came in the same draft class. You know, some of y'all might see this, make it and be funny about it, but you never know with guys. Sometimes guys get in different situations. They get to, especially with the Lakers. I use Lamar Odom, for example. Love the Lakers, stuff like that. Was heartbroken that he got traded away years ago. But, you know, if they can use that situation to be the best he can be, who knows how things can go.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're several months into things, and now I'm like, okay, this is the Ayton that everybody's kind of been talking about. You know, give you this effort here, but it should be right here.
Right.
And with the league, not a lot of bigs, should be more dominant, but he's not. Mr. Aaron having a lot to say. He said the Lakers don't have leaders, and SGA, Jokic, and women all make their teammates better, which is true. Nobody's agreeing. I mean, nobody's doubting that. You know, we said that on the show before. You know, Wemby make things better for Spurs and whatnot, and SGA same thing. And then he says them players don't need all these trades. They play with what they got mostly. LeBron, the longest tenured teammate is Reeves, and he wants him gone. Now, that's a good segue to this. What are your feelings about Rich Paul and his comments on the podcast with Matt Kellerman? What are your thoughts on him kind of being like a vessel for LeBron, saying that they should trade Reeves for Jared Jackson, or basically have Austin Reeves in a trade deal with somebody to help the team out? What are your thoughts on Paul's comments with Matt Carrollman about Austin Reeves, and also Austin Reeves' agents having a chit chat with Rich Paul? I think that when the next time they saw each other at home.
I think, you know, we're at a point now where LeBron doesn't say much, but people in his circle, if they say something we believe is out, LeBron knows about it, or he, you know, kind of co-signs of it. So hearing Rich Paul say that, the first thought we thinking is, well, this is something that LeBron co-signed off of. This is something LeBron been talking about. This is what he believes. I think, in my opinion, even if they're in the close circle, everybody have a mind of their own, what they think, their opinion. These are conversations that they have. Now, obviously, they talk, hey, man, you know, if you say this out in the open, they're going to think I had some shit to do with it. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure that's been talked about. And there's multiple conversations that probably wasn't had that LeBron probably talked about with him. that he's probably kept between him and LeBron or whoever. So I think this comment is looking at trying to make the Lakers a better team and looking at what they need. Because right now, Austin Reeves is probably very hot right now. If they would listen to trades, I think you would get a lot of calls from many teams about Austin Reeves. So I think he has an opinion on what they should do. I think obviously Luke is a star, is the big dog on this team. But also hearing that makes me believe that he knows that Austin Reeves is going up as an option. He's going up as an option, meaning that he's a top scorer for this team. It's kind of like he's taking, like I said, LeBron is getting older. He's not the same LeBron. The Lakers know that. I think you asked me, I think a couple of shows ago, is this going to be LeBron's last year in LA? And this team is kind of setting up to where they're moving forward beyond LeBron. They started that with the trade for Luka. So maybe this is something that Rich Paul kind of sees happening pretty sooner rather than later. So I think those comments kind of came out wanting to win now, as the Lakers are trying to do. But I think the biggest thing with these comments is you're in the circle of LeBron. So whatever you say, and like I said, he knows is we're gonna think LeBron co-signed it, and he's okay with it. And that's the biggest thing that's what is catching so much background for, is because he's in the circle with LeBron. So to me, I don't think it's a bad idea, to be honest with you. But I think that it came from the wrong person. Saying that, like I said, it sounds like this is something that LeBron has said, okay, well, yeah, this is something that you think they discussed, right? This is something that you would think a lot of fans, oh, yeah, they definitely talked about this, and this is something they both agree on. This is the thing that people gotta understand, is not everybody in the circle fully agrees on everything. There's disagreements, with friends and ages and all that kind of stuff. So, but because of the stature of LeBron, you'd think anybody in his close circle says something that he co-signed and he agreed or he talked about. So it's just the fact that Rich Paul said that, and he knows this when he made those comments, the backlash and the thought process that he was going to get behind it. So I'll probably put more of this on Rich Paul. I mean, come on, bro. Like, if y'all having barbershop talk, I think that should stay there. If that's a conversation that y'all having, or this is what you believe, you might want to keep that to yourself, because once you say something, they're thinking it's coming from LeBron himself. So for me, again, I just think that this is that'd be a rough decision that got to be made. But coming from Rich Paul, I'm pretty sure it kind of ruffles some feathers.
Man, I just watched Caleb Williams scramble, throw a touchdown. I almost gave me a Hail Mary to Cole Kmet in the end zone in the corner. Damn.
Yeah, he that guy.
Damn.
Yeah, he's. I remember him doing it at USC in Oklahoma.
Damn, that was cold. But anyways, speaking of cold, Rich Paul, I was kind of cold of him to do that. Only reason I say it's cold for him to do that. Here's my thing. One, there was a time that we really didn't know these ages like this. Mm-hmm. Let's be real. And I salute to Rich Paul. He grinded his way to where he's at right now. Multi-millionaire, very smart dude. I hate that the NBA created that rule, in the sense that you gotta have like a degree, all that stuff, because folks like like Rich Paul coming in and taking over and being very good at his job compared to dudes that gone to school, law school, all that good stuff, and do a shit job for the clients. I salute Rich Paul in doing that and building, we're along with others to build up Clutch to where it is now. One of the more premier agencies out there in professional sports. Having said all that, sometimes, you don't have to say nothing at all. Sometimes a closed mouth is just well enough. I know he's trying to brand as himself, all that good stuff. And all that, doing the podcast with Kelman, cool, whatever. But everybody knows you and LeBron like this.
Mm-hmm.
He found you when you're out there doing your hustle and stuff like that. Y'all help build what y'all built with Clutch and all that stuff. So you saying this by Austin Reeves and stuff like that, like, come on, dog. You're not helping yourself and you're not helping LeBron here. And going to this comment here, how you expect to win by changing your rosters around a 41-year-old? Very true. And I think also, like you mentioned about the retirement thing, like at some point LeBron, there's gotta be like sit down, like what's the end game of LeBron here? I know you can go, I know you can play all this stuff. What's the end game here?
Mm-hmm.
Very valid question. You got new ownership in LA. Need to remind everybody, you got new ownership out in LA. And they kept Jenny Buss as governor, but you got new ownership in LA. They made the move for Luka. They love Austin Reeves out there. Also, a lot of folks, if y'all don't know anything like this, Jenny Buss and family, they really never really followed LeBron and crew from jump. Let's keep it real right there. They never been really high on LeBron like that.
Right.
Yeah, I think, let's be real. Him going to the Lakers all those years ago was kind of like a blessing in disguise because at that point, the Lakers stunk. It's called what it is. And he helped elevate that team. Call what it is.
Yeah.
He helped elevate that team. And then after that, during that first year and all that, very solid team, young team. Then LeBron gets hurt. And then things just kind of went down. Then they made the move for Anthony Davis. Very productive for most of the year. And then COVID happened. And, the bubble, all that stuff. We talked about that years ago. When we're doing our bubble show, our COVID shows during those times, kind of scraping and surviving each and every Sunday. So, for Rich Paul to say this for the Lakers to make a move and send all the Austin Reeves says a lot. And I'm glad his agents check Rich Paul. Like, hey, man, what are we doing here? We're on the same team here. Austin's been hurt. It's kind of stalled the Lakers' progress this year. Come on, man. What are we doing here? To me, like, Jared Jackson and all folks, and we just discussed him earlier, like,
yeah.
The Lakers got defensive issues already on that stuff. Getting Jared Jackson is not going to help those. Especially on the rebounding side of things. So you're the Lakers, LeBron's on his final year of his deal. Austin Reeves' final year of his deal. Ayton's a player option. Arabia is player option. Gabe Vincent, let me look that up real quick because
I think he got another year. I'm looking at LeBron now.
no, I think this is the last year of Gabe Vincent.
Oh wow.
So Gabe Vincent last year, his deal. You already re-signed Luka for the next 3 years. After that, you really had no big salary elsewhere. So to say to do this, I don't think it'd be the best move for all parties involved and kind of ride out the season and wait till the summer.
Mm-hmm.
If you do something on fire to improve the team now, yeah, cool, do it. But I don't think trading Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson is not the play. Let's be real.
I think LeBron's 41 now. First year that he played with Lakers, he was 34.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the same. Again, like I said earlier, we talked about it. This is not the same LeBron. And to Aaron's point, you're not building around the 41-year-old. You're not. I know we've seen a lot from LeBron. I think it's one of the greatest players we've ever seen play. But he's not the same guy. He can continue playing, I think, but to ask him to lead a team now just wouldn't be the brightest thing to do now. And that's why they traded for Luka. We've seen the Lakers do this multiple times. They're going to have a star on their team.
Mm-hmm.
That's the expectation. So now, again, like I said, I think after you've made your move for, another star, which, for 20, 30, 40 years, you're still going to be like, well, damn, I can't believe Dallas traded Luka to the Lakers. But that's the face of this team moving forward. So now you have to be able to take the team that you have, accept that, and kind of move forward. Even though that means you have a player like a LeBron, now you got to figure out how you're going to move with that. Because as you said, this is his last year in his deal. Do the Lakers re-sign him? Because right now, the biggest announcement that we thought we were going to hear was him joining Hennessy. Not a decision to retire. So we haven't had that. And I believe that when he does retire, we're going to give him that same, hey, this is his last year. We're going to celebrate it throughout the whole season. So to me, I don't think this is his last year. So what do they do?
He's not going to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking at the Lakers cap situation going forward, looking for next year, and wrap the show up here in a sec. Okay. Damn, they still paying all these dudes? Just looking at spot rep right now, they're still paying Carmelo Anthony. They still paying Avery Bradley, Jared Dudley, Wayne Ellington, Dwight Howard, Dion Waiters.
Oh my gosh.
Markieff Morris. Damn, they still got these dudes on the payroll. Oh my goodness. All right, anyways. Okay. You got Luka. Put him to the side. Austin Reeves got player option for next year. Jared Vanderbilt, $12 million salary for next year. Ayton, player option, $8 million. Jake LaRavia, $6 million contract next year. Marcus Smart, player option for $5 million. Dalton Connect, still on his rookie deal, $4 million. Bronny James, $2 million. And Abdul Dario, the rookie from Arkansas, $2 million. Then you got the cap holds of LeBron, Rui Hachimura on last year, his deal, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, Jackson Hayes, those 5 there. So if Reeves opt out, if Reeves, Ayton, or Smart opt out, that's a lot of cap space for the Lakers. And the Lakers renounce LeBron, Rui, Gabe, and Maxi Kleber and Jackson Hayes. That's a ton of cap space going into the summer. If you can find a move for Vanderbilt and get him off the books, that's more money right there. And let me do one more thing before we get out here. So the free agent potentially in the summer, if the Lakers go this route, of course you got LeBron, Zach LaVine, which I don't think you don't touch. Trae Young, who's going to stay in Washington. James Harden, who's already 36. CJ McCollum, already close to 35.
Mm-hmm.
Middleton, I love him, but the injury slowed it down, 34 years old.
Yeah.
Porzingis, like him, but his illness is going to maybe force him to retire. Wiggins on a player option. Tobias Harris, 34 years old. John Collins, 28. Anthony Simons, 26. So that's where you're looking at right now. Kuminga has a club option if he stays and goes instead or get traded elsewhere. But after that, really not too many names out there that you can splurge on and all that good stuff. Like, I'm looking down, Mitch Robinson, he's a free agent. Who else I'm looking at? That's really about it. So if you're going to make a move in the Lakers, you got to trade for somebody. And you dangle the carrot of Austin Reeves the contract extension, but he hasn't bid on it. And he expected a big time payday. What do you do? That free agent list right here I just listed, not really appetizing. Maybe 7 years ago for a lot of these guys, but not right now. So, we'll see what things shake out for the Lakers. I'll let you have the last word. Do you see them win tonight against the Toronto Raptors, who've been playing very well this year?
Is Quickly playing?
Let me look. Yes, he's in the starting lineup right now.
So him, their 3 is playing, B.I. and Scotty Barnes?
Yeah, B.I., Scotty Barnes, Quickly, Murray Bowles in the starting lineup, and Achi Abaji is the other guard out there right now.
I think that the Raptors are going to get that win. I think they're playing very well right now. Scotty Barnes is playing incredible. He's playing, shout out to my alma mater, Florida State, the way he went to school at. But he's playing extremely well. But the Lakers, I think they're going to be tough. But regarding this offseason, I think they got to go make they're going to make a move for another big name player, in my opinion. I think LeBron time is probably up soon, but they're going to pair Austin Reeves and Luka with somebody, a younger because the Spurs are coming. Literally, Spurs are here actually. They showing up. Yeah, they showed up. The Thunder 2 or 3 times this year already. So the Thunder's here clearly. So I think the Lakers are gonna. I think there's gonna be a massive move. Big bold prediction. I think there's a massive move, during the offseason that they try to go grab somebody else with those other 2 guys. Who? That's a good question. I think, to be honest with you, I think they do try to move after Luka. I mean, not Luka. I'm sorry, not Luka, but Giannis. But they're gonna make a big move, and this is just something that we see the Lakers do. If you've been, not even being a Laker fan, but if you've been a fan of the NBA, we've seen the Lakers make big moves every few years to continue being a contender. This is what the Lakers do. This is their expectation. This is what happens over and over and over. They're going to go get somebody. They hit my Magic 2 times, going to get Shaq and Dwight Howard. So this is not a surprise. They go and get their guys. Don't call looking for Paolo Banchero because there's nothing that you can give us. I know they're gonna try, but please don't. They better not pick up the phone call either. So, but I think that they're gonna, and it is like you said, it's a new owner, so maybe it gets moved out a little different. But they're going to make a bold move. At least we'll hear about it from somebody. If it doesn't happen, we're going to hear something. Because obviously with LeBron being a free agent, that's going to be the number one thing talked about if he comes back or if he goes somewhere else or he retires. And then if the Lakers are not part of his plans in the future, what do the Lakers do to pair, to be contenders? Luka is going to keep them a contender, but that's not going to be enough, in my opinion. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what they do. But they got to get together now, especially the 3 of the end.
Yeah, I put a bone in. Lakers will do something. Like I said, the new ownership changes the dynamic of everything. That new money and stuff like that, there with the Lakers organization, I think things is going to change. We shall see. They still got they still got Rob Pelinka in charge and stuff like that, making roster moves. So that's another thing that really we touch on too much. Like Rob Pelinka's still there, and a lot of you say we want about LeBron, all that stuff, Luka, and the other guys, JJ. But you gotta start looking at Rob Pelinka. Is he the right man to kind of do things and get things right with the team? We'll see. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. As we stated earlier, if you're new to the show, new to the network, you follow Ox Sports Radio on all your social media feeds, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Once or more of our shows on the network go live, hit that little bell notification. We got you covered from basketball, volleyball, American football, soccer, international football, baseball, hockey, racing, everything we got you covered here in the network, along with our insiders across the country, whether it's New York, Boston, Tennessee, California, wherever. We got you covered there as well. Also, D-Locke, where do people find you on social media?
You guys find me at Black-813. Talk more about my match a little bit. See how we move forward in the East, man. I'm getting pretty tough. Knicks look pretty consistent. A little banged up, but my team can get up to my ass. Trade deadline is coming up too. So let them know they can find your page.
You find my page at Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. I'll probably be bitching and moaning if the Titans hire Matt Nagy as the head coach. But hopefully Robert Saleh coming through, all that stuff. I'm praying right there. Do follow the show page at Fast Break at IESR. That's Fast Break at IESR. until then, ladies and gentlemen, till next week, more basketball news around the world of basketball. And then we didn't touch on college basketball, but we'll talk about that next week. And the tread down fastly approaching. Till then, talk to y'all later. Peace.